Morning, everyone. I trust this finds you well today. My name is Ralph Scott, and I work in special collections at East Carolina University Libraries in Greenville, North Carolina. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of our genealogical sources that we have. Hope you enjoy the presentation and feel free to contact me if you have any questions. My email is scottr, S-C-O-T-T-R, with the little @ at ecu.edu. We have a large library. We say the library is the largest research library east of I-95 in the United States. And we have a large number of books and a lot of manuscript collections and a wealth of genealogical materials. We started collecting these materials back around 1907, but more aggressively in recent years. While we collect things about North Carolina in general, we specialize in the eastern part of the state, sort of in the coastal plain, and we've got a lot of resources for that. But as I say, we collect from other areas. We are located in a large building just to the north of 10th Street, 10th and Charles Street. Just behind the library, there is a large parking garage. So if you'd like to come visit with us, I'll give you details about that in a few minutes. We'll be more than happy to have you come and see us. The parking deck is behind the library and it's $1 an hour and you just pay as you leave. So the parking generally is not a problem, less so on weekends. Because of COVID, we are technically open only to East Carolina connected individuals. However, Special Collections has made arrangements so that people not connected with the university can come use our facilities. But what you have to do is the day in advance, you have to go to our page and go to a booking application, which is sort of like a calendar, and request a spot. And then someone will meet you at the front door when you come and get you in. We're open to the public Monday through Friday only right now from 1 to 5. Of course, you know, as the COVID goes away, hopefully, we'll be able to come more times. We're normally open from 8 to 10 Monday through Friday. Well, Monday through Thursday, Friday, we close at 5, and we're open Saturday and Sunday afternoons. But right now, we're not open for that. We are located on the 3rd floor. I work in the Special Collections Division, one part of which is the North Carolina collection. And the North Carolina collection has a lot of genealogical resources. Associated with that is the rare books and manuscripts section, and they do have personal family papers. So with that in mind, we'll get started with some of the resources that we have. One of the things that you might want to do is study a little bit about how to do genealogical research. And we have a number of books. You have a finding aid attached to this class for genealogical research in North Carolina. And there's some books. Sometimes you can find these books in your local public library. You don't have to come to us for that, but you can go there and take a look at these books. It tells you a little bit more detail on how to do genealogical research. Then the next thing you want to do is locate resources. And of course we have, that's why we're here. We're here to help you find these resources. So what you want to do is also get started with building a foundation. And probably the best foundation to get started is the US Federal Census. And the Census Department, or a version of it, has been collecting information about people since 1790, since the first census. And we do it, it's done every 10 years. You probably remember a little bit about the 2020 census. One of the problems with the census, federal census, is not everybody is on it. There are people that for one reason or another, they don't want people to know where they are. The enumerators just miss them. They're not home. For various reasons, sometimes people are simply not listed in these censuses. But in the census, the federal census are arranged by date, and then they're arranged by state and then county and then local townships or divisions. And most of the early censuses were done by hand. So you have people trying to figure out how to spell people's names and how to record this information. And sometimes they do a better job. Sometimes they didn't know how to spell the names. Sometimes they didn't write clearly, so you can't read it, or you have to spend a long time. Is that an O, an A, or an E? But anyway, when you find the census, as you're well aware of, it usually lists the head of household, anybody that they're related to by marriage, anybody they're not related to by marriage who lives in the same house, the children. Usually information varies from census to census. Usually you can find information about their sex and date and what they're doing. Women are often listed as a homemaker or a housewife. But if they were a teacher, for example, it will tell you that. And so we have these censuses. The last one that's been released to the public is the 1941. We did not buy the 1941, but we do have 1790 through 1930. Now, the 1941 is available on the web at a number of genealogy sites. So, it's a gazillion reels. So we just didn't buy that. We actually have copies of all the others. And so, and we specialize in North Carolina. We don't have the whole United States. We just have the censuses for North Carolina. There were some special censuses done in 1830, 1840, 1850, and 1860, and they were called agricultural and mechanical censuses. The government was very much interested in internal improvements and working class people, what they were doing, what farmers were doing. And so you'll find this special census. We have the ones for North Carolina. And for example, for freedmen, it will tell you what their occupation was, what the value of their tools were, where they were located, did they have any employees, and sort of the value of their business. So you might, for Elizabeth City, North Carolina, find someone who's got a small shipyard where he builds small boats, and it'll tell all about that. Farmers who own their land, you'll find information about their farms. So those are those special censuses that were done prior to the Civil War. There is no manuscript census for 1890. Unfortunately, that was destroyed in a fire in the Commerce Department in Washington in the early 20th century. So we don't have access to that. So that covers federal census materials from 1790 up to 1940. In addition to federal census, sometimes there are local state census. And prior to 1790, there are North Carolina census available there. Go back, they're generally done by county, and they consist almost certainly of things like tax list or poll list, people who were serving on juries, this kind of thing. So you can get those. Well, in the 1930s, the University of North Carolina had a project during the Depression to go around to all of the county and state capitals and microfilm any records they can find. And it's called the William Sumner Jenkins collection of early state records. And so these would be records done prior to the founding of the federal government in the 1780s. And you can find, for instance, early records for Hyde County. You'll find court minutes, legislative minutes, records of cases, and things like that. So remember if you're looking for early material prior to 1790, that's a good place to go. And I hope you'll go there and do that if you get a chance. Just ask at the reference desk and we can show you where the microfilm reels are. So you can, go to Gates County, North Carolina for maybe for $16.90, and there'll be a list of voters, or there'll be some sort of document that you can check and look into. That takes care of census. There are also special censuses, like they do housing and gain the agricultural and commercial censuses for recent years, but it's relatively difficult to get the individual listings because they're only available at the National Archives in Washington. So you can't really do that. So census information is very good. Another thing that we have that, well, before I go off census, I want to mention one other thing, and that is indexes to census information. There are lots of online indexes to the federal census, but we also have printed volumes. They're printed books. Some people have gone through the census and listed every name they could find, and then they printed those in the books. So we have that for some census. We don't have them for all of them. We have printed versions of the 1790 and 1820 census. So for those 2 years, you can actually come and look at the actual books. The next thing I was going to talk about was ship lists. Almost everybody who came to this country, except for Native Americans, came on a boat, and a lot of ports kept records of ships coming in, and whoever was on the boat, they listed them. Obviously for indentured servants or would be listed, but probably slaves are not going to be listed by individual names. So those are relatively difficult to get. Another good source that we have got here at the library is the Freedmen Bureau records. Some of you may remember there's a special project to transcribe those. Go read all of those census things in the Freedmen Bureau records and put those down on form that can be read by, at least by people using computers instead of the squiggly handwriting that you've got there. But the Freedmen's Bureau was set up by the federal government in the 1860s to help freed Blacks get land and materials with which to set up a business or something. And so we have the records of the Freedmen's Bureau for North Carolina. We bought these back in the 1960s, and they're all on microfilm, and you can come and use our microfilm readers to find that. In these records, you'll find records of people that are in schools, people that are have little businesses, sort of whatever they're doing. We also, one of the things that a considerable number of freed Blacks served in the Union Army. And so you'll find pension records for these individuals in the Freedmen's Bureau records. And you'll also find records for their widows who applied to the federal government for a pension as a result of their service in the federal government during the Civil War. So that's a really neat source too. One of the things that we have here that people use are individual county books. Sometimes genealogists will get materials, for instance, for Wilson County and put them in a scrapbook type thing. And we would have those books, they're called heritage, usually called heritage books. So you can look at the Perquimans County Heritage Book and there'll be information in there about families. These started generally around the bicentennial, around a little bit before that, around 1970. And people started doing these scrapbook collections and publishing them so that we have that. We have a wealth of information. A lot of it is mainly statistical, but I did talk a little bit about some of the things that we have that are printed microfilm sources. Let me see. Of course, we're not the only place in North Carolina or the United States, in fact, where you can find North Carolina genealogical materials. So there are guides that we have in our collection to archival sources in North Carolina. And if you ask at the desk, we can get those. And the big place to go, other than both Chapel Hill, which has a large collection in East Carolina, is the North Carolina State Archives, which is in Raleigh, North Carolina. And we have a guide to their records, and a lot of their records are online. People are slowly digitizing materials and putting them up. So we have a guide to research materials in their collection. It was done in 1995, and it's a good place to get to. Duke has not a small collection, but they have a substantial collection of genealogical materials on North Carolina. So you might consider going to the State Archives, the North Carolina collection at Chapel Hill, and the Duke Library. There's additional places you can go. Because of COVID, I would check in advance, and most places are open on a reservation basis, and so you'll need to do that. Let's see what else. Now, in addition to sources that I've talked about so far, we have just a lot of records that you can look at. And these records are cataloged or listed in our online catalog. And you can find them by searching the catalog, and it's on the web. You can just go to our homepage, and it opens, the first thing it opens on the library homepage at ecu.edu. There, for example, there are church records, and you can search for like Wilmington, North Carolina church history, and you'll get some entries. You could pick a religion, you could pick up Baptist, and obviously you get a lot of books on that. Or you could pick a particular church name and type that in and see what you can find. So that's what we're looking for here with the catalog is books. And a big collection of books that we have are city directories. And there's a company in the United States that goes around and tries and tracks down each person and lists them in what is called city directories. And we have the city directories for North Carolina. We have them from all over the state, but primarily from the eastern part. And you can look in these, for instance, if you look up my house address here in Greenville, it'll list my name, my wife's name, and don't list my dogs and cats yet, but you've got to give them credit for doing it. And they do these for every year, and we have them back to usually around 1920s, something like that. And they're interesting to see. So they're called city directories. And so if you just type in this online catalog, Raleigh city directories, you'll get the call number for it. You have to come to the library to actually look at the books. But again, I tell you, we're open for you. Another thing that we have are maps. We have individual maps that show land plats. Like there might be a surveyor would do the dividing line between one country, one plat or one of land and another. There's something called Sanborn maps, which is done by a Sanborn company. And they are maps of towns. So you can, for example, find, again, Elizabeth City, I seem to be using, Elizabeth City maps, individual maps that show the buildings in the town and the streets. And often it shows the water lines and electric lines and things like that. So those are very good. Let's see. Then we also have military pension records. I'd mentioned that a little bit in collection with the Freedmen's Bureau, but they're also available for other groups of individuals. And finally, I guess one of the biggest sources we have are newspapers. And the problem with the newspapers is they're not indexed. We just have pictures, microfilm pictures of the newspapers. And so what you'd have to do is come and go through the papers looking for information about your family members. So if they were involved in something, say they were city manager or a mayor or a representative or someone like that, you could look through the papers. Of course, the prominent one is the Raleigh News and Observer. But then there are local papers like the Greenville Reflector and the Kinston Free Press and things like that. But you would have to come and go through these microfilm reels looking for information about your family members. In any case, I've sort of touched a little bit. I can't really spend a lot of time talking about individual items, but what I'm trying to do is create a big framework so you'll know how to get here, where we're located, and some of the types of materials that we have. So I appreciate you listening to me today, and I hope that you'll come see us and find some material about your family.